There is a moment. It lasts less than 3 seconds. And in those 3 seconds, minus everything inside a wild Mustang changes. Not emotionally, chemically, neurologically, at the cellular level. The moment a wild Mustang realizes it cannot outrun what is chasing it, minus its brain, does something that researchers did not fully understand until very recently. And what they found changed everything. Every year in the American West, thousands of wild Mustangs are rounded up. Bureau of Land Management helicopters push free-roaming herds across miles of open terrain, into trap pens, into holding facilities, into a world they have never encountered. From the outside, minus the horse looks frozen, standing still, breathing hard, staring at nothing. Most people assume it is exhausting. It is not exhausting. It is in the most acute biological crisis of its entire life. Here is what is happening inside that frozen Mustang. The moment the escape route closes, minus the amygdala fires. The amygdala is the brain's alarm system. In prey animals, it is larger, faster, and more sensitive than in almost any predator species, because the cost of a false alarm is wasted energy. But the cost of a missed alarm is death. The amygdala signals the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus triggers the adrenal glands, and within seconds minus cortisol, adrenaline, both flood the bloodstream simultaneously, at levels researchers describe as among the highest recorded in any domestic or wild equine study. Dr. Kami Heleski, equine behaviorist at the University of Kentucky, documented cortisol spikes in captured Mustangs that exceeded levels recorded in horses during surgery. During surgery, that still horse, that quiet horse, that horse that looks like it has given up minus, is running the most intense internal emergency response. Its biology knows how to produce. Every prey animal has 3 responses to a predator: fight, flight, freeze. Flight is gone. The pen eliminates it. Fight has no target. There is no single predator to strike, just metal panels, just noise, just humans at a distance. So the brain defaults to freezing. And freeze is not surrender. Freezing is not calm. Freeze is the brain saying, minus, I cannot run. I cannot fight, so I will become invisible. I will stop moving. I will wait. And I will watch for the moment an escape opens. Some Mustangs hold this freeze state for hours, standing, watching. Cortisol is still elevated. My heart rate is still climbing. The brain is still running full emergency protocol. To a casual observer, minus the horse has settled. To the horse, minus the emergency has not ended. It has just gone internal. And while all of this is happening, minus something else is occurring that will matter for months, years, possibly forever. The hippocampus, minus the brain's memory formation center, minus, is recording everything. At elevated cortisol levels, the hippocampus does not record normally. Normal memory formation is gradual, contextual. It fades over time with competing experience. But memory, formed under extreme cortisol, minus stress memory minus, is different. It is deep, immediate, and extraordinarily resistant to erasure. Researchers have documented Mustangs reacting to the sound of a metal gate 3 years after their capture, not trained to react, not taught to fear it. The brain simply recorded minus metal gate sound, loss of escape route, maximum threat, and that equation never fully overwrites. One sound. 3 years later, the same emergency response, quieter. But there, in 2018, a team at Colorado State University began one of the most detailed studies ever conducted on Mustang stress response. They wanted to understand not just what happened at capture, minus, but what happened after. What they found surprised them. Cortisol levels in newly captured Mustangs did not return to baseline in hours or days. In many horses, minus, it took 3 to 6 weeks for cortisol to approach normal range. 3 to 6 weeks of continuous biological emergency. The horses that appeared calm, minus eating, standing quietly, not visibly distressed, minus, were still running elevated stress chemistry. They looked settled. They were not settled. They had simply learned that external panic produced no useful result, so they internalized it. We were measuring animals that looked fine and finding chemistry that said otherwise. The behavioral signal and the biological signal were completely decoupled. A horse that looks fine is not necessarily fine. That is perhaps the most important thing this research produced. But here is what else they found. Not everything about this story is hard. When researchers changed the environment, minus smaller initial pens, quieter handling, consistent human presence without approach, predictable routines, cortisol returned to baseline in 8 to 12 days. Instead of 6 weeks, same horse, same biology, different environment, completely different outcome. The brain that was running full emergency protocol minus began to recalibrate. Not because the horse was trained, not because it was handled, because the threat signals stopped, because predictability replaced chaos, because the pattern the horse's brain was desperately trying to build, minus finally had enough consistent data to begin building it. Predictability is medicine. Every Mustang running free right now has a brain built for one thing: survival in an unpredictable world. And when that world suddenly becomes a metal pen, minus that brain does not have an off switch. It runs the only program it knows. Assess the threat, record everything. Wait for escape, survive. The horses that eventually come through, minus that learn to tolerate, then accept, then approach minus, have not stopped being wild. They have built enough data points to place one human into a different category. Not predator, not safe exactly, but predictable. And in the Mustang's world, minus predictable is the closest thing to safe that exists. That walk toward you, minus that moment. Minus is not the horse, forgetting what its brain recorded the day it was caught. It is the horse deciding that the new data is stronger, that you minus specifically minus have appeared enough times, without threat, that the math has shifted. The next time you stand near a horse, minus any horse, minus, and it moves away from you, or stands frozen, or watches you from the far corner of the field, it is not difficult. It is exactly what 40 million years built it to be. A brain designed to survive, running a program that has kept its species alive longer than almost anything on this planet. The question is never minus, why won't this horse trust me? The question is minus, have I given it enough consistent data to begin rewriting what it recorded the day it was caught? Tomorrow, minus, we look at what happens when the rewriting begins, and why some Mustangs get there faster than others.